doing cartwheels on this slate.
They said locks. Like, there's only one game not within the first 30 minutes. So
yeah, even then it's not that. I mean, Miami at Phoenix, it's like
yeah. And Phoenix is healthy basically. Yeah.
I'm good. All right, Awesemo, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Saturday morning, kicking things off here on the Awesemo YouTube channel. We have eight shows coming after us. We are covering a multitude of sports. We have semi-playoff football sort of today, kind of at 4 o'clock. Then we have some preseason football at 8 o'clock tonight. We've got live before lock strategy shows for those. We've got live before lock NBA. We've got the NHL show coming on after us. And oh yeah, sports betting is now available in New York on your mobile devices. What a day, Gundacker. What a day.
Yeah, congratulations to New York. No longer have to deposit through crypto overseas, you know what I'm saying? Don't have to take that 3 p.m. trip to the Jersey border. Like, you guys get the bet from home now. It's a happy day.
Yeah, everybody should be good to go there. That will be a lot of fun. We've got all sorts of other exciting things coming on here. You can go to the Awesemo.com homepage and check out, we've got all sorts of, if you're new to betting, it'll talk about how you can get the different deposit bonuses in New York across the various sites. Of course, if you go to Awesemo Odds, you'll get a bunch of free wagering content, parlay picks, a whole variety of those things for the big NFL games and the primetime NBA games. Those are cross-posted, of course, on Awesemo.com. But if you want to get them all, you can head over to Awesemo Odds. And then, of course, we have our sister site, Odd Shopper, which allows you to check out a variety of different sports books and different odds, etc. They also have built out what they call the Parlay Builder. That's in the upper left corner there. If you just click on that, it creates parlays for you. You can choose different ones. You can go with the underdogs that might be able to win, the swing for the fences, all sorts of stuff. It'll tell you what the ROI is. Now, remember, that stuff does have to come to fruition. So this is why they play the games, but there's all sorts of fun going on out there. I had a good night last night watching the Toronto Raptors, Gundacker. I kept hitting that live wagering line. Every time it got to 3 or more points, I'd put another $1 or $2 on it. So I ended up with about $20 on that game. And I like the live wagering to take the odds, but I was like, there's no way Utah doesn't die on the vine in the second half. Eric Pascal can't keep making every shot he's taking. And then my boy, Fred Van Elite with his first career triple-double. That was a lot of fun last night. Any takeaways from last night's slate before we get into the less than exciting slate today?
It's the Fred Van Vliet train rolling through it. No, actually, I thought of you when he bursted for like 20-something points in 6 minutes, and I was like, oh,
he went on a 14-0 run himself.
Yeah. And did you run the Fred Van Elite contest last night?
I did. I finished 7th. I
was like, no one beat EMac if he's, if he has to play the best player on the slate. So, that was nuts. The only takeaway I got is that the Utah Jazz might have set a dangerous precedent in not sending your starters over the border while they're going through another lockdown, because I'm not here for G League games with no fans every other day. So hopefully that isn't the new norm. But no, it was a good slate, good bounce back slate last night for me. The night before was kind of ugly.
Yeah, that one was kind of we kind of had a feeling that Rudy Gay was going to end up sitting there when he wasn't at shoot around, and they were being very cagey about a lot of this. And I'm like, did these guys even go up to Toronto, or are they heading into their next game tonight, which is going to be at Indiana taking on the Pacers? So we got to see a lot of the Toronto bench there. We saw a lot of the Toronto bench, but at the end of the ending part there, when they cleared it after Toronto came back, their monster comeback against the YMCA like team that was put out there by Utah. But We all play with the same player pool. We're going to hear that again tonight when we break down the single game slate of the Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles. Say hello to Gardner Minshew. Corey Clement's going to have a little remember me, guys, potential in these games. So we've got some fun, but we're going to start off with basketball right now. We've got a nice little collection of people cruising on in here. Please do hit that like button. It does help us against that YouTube algorithm. And we are at 70,400 subscribers. Thank you guys very much. Not only did we get through that vaunted 69,420 last week, we also hit the 70,000 mark. So that is really cool. Today, we've got some free content out there for you. It is the NFL Week 18 top stacks. Today, the NBA player projections are free, and then the NHL top stacks are free. And the NHL top stacks, that's an invaluable tool. So I've played NHL every day I'm into my 4th season now, and I don't watch a lot of the games because there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things going on, but it is from an ROI basis, it is my most consistent sport because I just rely entirely on the Awesemo tools. The top stacks tool helps you out. It tells you which line combinations are most likely to do well. And there's so much player movement in the NHL, even though I recognize a lot of the names now, they're constantly on different teams. I can't tell you who's on what line anymore, but I know most of the power plays and I don't have to worry about anything else because I just have to go with the Awesemo stuff there. So that's very, very helpful for those of you who want to file that away in the back of your mind, because of course there will be the NBA All-Star break at some point. But let's get into our first game here. Gundacker, we've got 5 on the slate. Most of them are tipping off within the first 30 minutes here. We've got 3 at 7, 1 at 7:30, and then the lone 9 o'clock game. There is an early afternoon game, Memphis at the Clippers. That is at 3:30, but we're going to start off here with Milwaukee at Charlotte. This was an interesting one. Milwaukee is underdogs. Am I reading this correctly, Gundacker? They're underdogs by a bucket?
Yeah, I got a -1, Charlotte. I mean, I don't know if I want to put on the tinfoil hat just yet and expect somebody to sit. But yeah, they are underdogs. Charlotte Hornets do have one of the better offensive ratings in all of basketball. Bucks on a back-to-back, no Drew Holiday. We've seen them bleed red against the Detroit Pistons. So I don't not understand it, but it is a little unexpected to see the Bucks as a dog almost any game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, Drew Holiday's out. He's in the health and safety protocol, as are Pat Connaughton, or Connaughton has a knee injury or something. I forget. It gets confusing because people are out and then they get COVID and then they're on both lists. But there's no Holiday, Connaughton, Grayson Allen, or George Hill tonight. Vernon Carey is out for Charlotte. Charlotte has really been picking things up lately. I went and looked at the records because I was sitting here going, well, where is Charlotte going to be in the playoffs, or where do they stand? They're at the 8th record right now. They are about 5 games behind the Bucks. They're 20-19. But to me, I was trying to figure out why that spread was off. And I went and looked last night because we had the Milwaukee Bucks winning in Brooklyn relatively handily. Giannis only played about 27 minutes. I think Portis led the way with 32. A couple of the other starters were in that 30-31 minute range. And then that was really it. So we don't even have big minutes coming in on those guys, or a hard fought battle. It was kind of a laugher. Brooklyn just couldn't get anything going consistently on offense, and it was just not even really a fun game to watch, especially when I was busy watching the Toronto game. But I can always keep tabs on the other ones. But what do we want to do here? So we're assuming Giannis is playing. I don't see any reason any of these guys would be sitting. Just that spread seems pretty weird. But we saw him roll up a ton of fantasy points in just 27 minutes last night. We should see mostly full run from him tonight. If we get 32 minutes, he's going to be threatening to be the top scorer on the slate. Talk us through Giannis, maybe a little Chris Middleton. Do we Bobby Portis is looking like the most popular option today on FanDuel. So we've got a variety of at least their starters anyway. What do you want to do here with the Bucks?
Yeah, I want to load up on as many Bucks players as I want. This seems like the most lucrative game on the slate, highest total by a wide margin, and the Bucks have a lot of opportunity to concentrate on a few players with all those guys you mentioned that are out. Giannis Antetokounmpo being the guy that's most likely to score the most fantasy points on this entire slate, shorter slate. I want that guy as much as I can get him. You mentioned last night, Giannis didn't play a lot of minutes. A lot of that is because he got into early foul trouble. I kind of expected that, played almost none of the second quarter, and then the game kind of got away. So in just 26 minutes, still was very, very good in those minutes. On the season without Drew Holiday, Giannis is averaging 1.78 DraftKings points per minute. That's almost 2, and that's in almost 500 minutes of sample size. That's what you want. Not only is that what you want, the Charlotte Hornets pace and defense is what you want. So this is a massive spot. And should there be no shenanigans here and we get this Bucks team and this Hornets team going at it, Giannis has a real shot to have one of the best fantasy scores of the season. Charlotte Hornets offense can go. It's just their defense is lackluster, and their pace also creates so many extra implied possessions. So do like the upside of Giannis. You mentioned Bobby Portis. I think on both sides, he's a amazing play. FanDuel being power forward eligible. There's another real chance that I tier 1 him again today. I can't really see myself getting away from him. I think he's far too cheap. The other day they waived Boogie Cousins, so not worried about a lot of poaching of his minutes. And then even Chris Middleton at AK, I think the Hornets raising the floor, raising the ceiling, and expectations on a median game is something I do like to get to 40 plus. So Buck stack is looking really, really nice. I think you can justify a little Jordan Nwora. They showed their hand yesterday. Giannis started as the point guard, essentially. We saw that a couple seasons ago. So we can really expect 30 plus minutes from all the starters. I'm less likely to get to Wesley Matthews with confidence, but in 150 lineups, I can see him getting a little streaky from downtown. So give me all the Bucks. On the Hornets side, LaMelo Ball's FanDuel price point was really interesting at 8,600. It kind of feels like Westbrook last night, where maybe he hasn't been as consistent, but this price point for this total, for this pace, for this matchup, and for what we know his ceiling to be, 8,600 just seems far too cheap to not get a decent chunk of. So that was the one that stood out the most. I think you spin the wheel, make a deal on the rest of the Hornets as the volatility peaks from player to player. Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, Miles Bridges has had some spike games, but I think LaMelo Ball is going to be my favorite option here. With PJ Washington back in the cut, I probably don't have a ton of warm and fuzzies on getting to the center spot here. Center is going to be pretty well spoken for, not to bury the lead, but we might get Hassan Whiteside as a free square on at least one site tonight. And then we mentioned Bobby Portis. So I don't really see myself playing with the Hornets front court, but I'll definitely have to stagger ownership of the Hornets 30 plus minute guys, because this game could become a track meet, and it could be one of the more entertaining shootouts that we've had in a while.
I thank you for calling that out. I did not realize that DeMarcus Cousins was no longer with the team. That was I'm just looking that up. He played just 5 minutes, played 5 games with them there, and they're moving on. Likely with everybody getting the COVID hardship, 10-day contracts and those sorts of things being relaxed a lot more. We'll see him on a couple other teams probably this season, sort of like we saw Isaiah Thomas has bounced around a little bit as well on that. Rondo actually got traded, but we've seen Mario Chalmers was technically on the Miami Heat. He ended up not playing, but he did I don't know, suit up's the right word, but he was available off the bench, though he didn't play. He'd been out of the league for 3 years. That feels more like just, hey, we need an active body. Come on, and in case of an emergency, we're going to sign you for some fun there. But anyway, we've got some options here, some interesting stuff. So this is all good. With regards to anything down the bench a little bit here, is this or down our option list, because we have just 5 teams in, or 5 games, 10 teams in our player pool, and we're going to talk about Detroit and Orlando because we are contractually obligated to. Anything else can we wring out of this game? A Nwora, anybody coming off the bench or in the deeper part of the rotation there for Charlotte? Do you roll the dice on a Kelly Oubre? My second favorite player in the league. Does he have his head screwed on straight tonight? I don't know. But anything else from this game?
Yeah, the guys like Kelly Oubre, Miles Bridges, even Hayward and Rozier, like they all have a ceiling worth getting some exposure to if you are running 50 plus, 100 plus lineups. If I was trying to squeeze all the grease out of the Bucks napkin, Rodney Hood got the most minutes off the bench yesterday from the regular rotation. Didn't do a whole lot for it from a fantasy standpoint, but like I said, the Hornets pace often creates a little bit of performances that are above expectation. He also probably benefited from Giannis' second quarter foul trouble, so kind of reading between the lines there. Langston Galloway also got 20 minutes. I mean, those are big shots in the dark, but I in probably 50 or less lineups from where I'm standing right now, I wouldn't have incentive to play the Bucks backups, but Oubre is definitely somebody that a decent chunk of the time in this matchup, a matchup that really favors, guys that will chuck at will, shoot threes. Oubre is somebody I would have interest in. Yeah.
All right. We've also got some fun going on here. We're doing some Odd Shoppers giveaways for a chance for a full free month of Awesemo Platinum. We're giving away 5 1-month Awesemo All Access packages there. If you're in the state of New York, you should be listening right now. All you got to do is follow the instructions on the tweet over there and share a screenshot of your first New York wager in the replies. We're going to randomly select 5 winners there for you on the for those contests there. I'm just looking to see if I have that link. I'll drop that link here into Slack or into the chat here in just a minute. It's actually also on if you look at the bottom of the descriptions here, we've got all sorts of links down there, including the link to that tweet if you guys want to be into that contest. If you are there in the state of New York, here's your chance. Get some free Awesemo access. By the way, for the time being, we also are doing the Awesemo premium betting content. Alex and Baker, Awesemo himself, and Ben Rasa are dropping some of their premium bets into the Discord channel. You can get that for free right now. If you have any other Awesemo package, you can get that in the Discord channel. That's going to go behind the paywall at some point. But for now, dive in on one of these packages and you get access to that as well. It's particularly been fun with some college basketball, some player props, and we've got NFL content coming up for the playoffs. There's a lot of single game parlay stuff that we can look at as well. Lots of fun here for sports wagering. I'm really getting into it, and we've had it just over not quite a year, I guess, here in Virginia, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. DFS is my first love, but this live game wagering is pretty fun, as is the prop builder available over there on Awesemo.com and oddshopper.com. Second game here, Utah Utah favored by 4.5 here at Indiana, 220 over under. This is the second highest point total of the night. Utah will be without Joe Ingles, and I think Rudy Gobert still out in the health and safety protocol. I think he does have COVID again. He's not going to be able to test out of it quickly. Indiana is going to be without Karis LeVert, Goga Bitadze, Torrey Craig, and Justin Anderson. They are all in the health and safety protocol. As we were sort of hinting at last night, Utah, a lot of the players didn't make the trip north of the border, but Donovan Mitchell, all these players are all questionable. I think most of them will play tonight. Donovan Mitchell with the back, Jordan Clarkson with the back, Royce O'Neal with the knee, Rudy Gay with the heel, and Bojan Bogdanovic with the finger. Gundacker, it's the middle finger. Just want to point that out. I think that's what the Utah was given to the DFS players last night. And then in Indiana, we may see Malcolm Brogdon, Jeremy Lamb, and Chris Duarte. They are all out of the health and safety protocol, but they've been dealing with conditioning now, or I guess getting up to speed. It's a back-to-back for Utah, 3-4. But again, they took the schedule loss last night, 122-108 in Toronto. Didn't play anybody of note aside from Hassan Whiteside. What are we doing here with Utah? Is there any reason to expect any of those questionable guys sitting tonight?
No, I think anyone who didn't make the trip yesterday is probably playing. Royce O'Neal, Rudy Gay had surgery on the heel earlier this season, but I think he's fine. I think it was all kind of not political, but strategic maneuvering, so they didn't lose some players. But Rudy Gobert will not play, so that is a starter that represents 30 plus minutes that will not be in the rotation. And Hassan Whiteside is the next man up. They did beef up the front court a little bit. Eric Pascal, Azubike. They got Norvell Pell on a 10-day, but Whiteside is probably the guy that gets first dibs. Last night he played 30 minutes. Oddly enough, 30 minutes of him didn't really mean much for DFS, but I'm willing to run it back. And unfortunately, DraftKings didn't really correct his price. 3,500 is pretty crazy. And tonight, looking at our first run at ownership projections, he might set a record for ownership, really, really high own, over 80% right now, if the slate were to lock right now. And I can't argue with it. He's almost double the price on FanDuel, a little bit more resistance, but still a guy that can put up an extreme ceiling and get an offense that is a little bit more spread out. A true point guard like Mike Conley. I think his upside and his floor definitely all goes up. Donovan Mitchell's price discrepancies between FanDuel and DraftKings is very notable. A $1,400 difference in price from FanDuel to DK, making him a much more fun click for me on FanDuel. And then if Bojan Bogdanovic played, I think he can be a tier 3 option. I don't get to Royce O'Neal a ton, but another big price gap between the sites. $6K on FanDuel. We saw him spike game against the Denver Nuggets, I believe, without Gobert. 3,700 on DraftKings. I mean, that's chip in a chair territory. That'll be the path to get you some extra Giannis Antetokounmpo if you want to trust in that. And then if Rudy Gay is fine, ready to go, he's 4,600 on DraftKings. So still a little bit of value opportunity on the Jazz side in the absence of Gobert, but hopefully not as much as last night, because last night was it was fun. Pre-lock, I was researching these players for the Jazz, and my crew was looking up G League stats and all this Elijah numbers. Hopefully tonight we don't have to do that. On the Pacers side, if Brogdon, Duarte, those guys are back, then maybe we can end the Kiefer Sykes experiment, and maybe Lance Stevenson doesn't drop another 30 real points, and we can be a little bit more normal. Sabonis has earned a 10+ K price point. And I think that's still something I can get to here and there, because this is a weakened Jazz front court. Without Rudy Gobert, they obviously lose their best interior defender. But at 10K, there's a lot of upside for Sabonis without Brogdon, without LeVert. And I guess if you were to only get Brogdon back and LeVert were to be out, I could still get to Sabonis. A little less confidence because 10K is a down payment on a brand new Giannis Antetokounmpo, but he's still in the mix for me. And then Brogdon, I would imagine, has some type of wouldn't be confident in him, getting unleashed for full minutes here. But hopefully we get enough Brogdon to not have to lean on Kiefer Sykes like we were last week.
Yeah, the Sykes in Washington. This is just, I'd prefer not to go there. We got the Utah backcourt last night, which was not fun. You mentioned Hassan Whiteside. You're right. He was out there a ton. He just kept setting the high screen rolling and no one lobbed him the ball like all freaking night. It was just like, because I had him on to get 10.5 or more points, and he ended up with 7. I'm just like, come on, just turn. He's going to turn and dunk. One of you guys give him the ball. And they did not. It was very frustrating. True or false? Bojan Bogdanovic, familiar with the shooting background in Indiana?
Are we? Is this something we tracking now? Is this like the Ryan Anderson red court split? Sure,
something. No, it's a way of saying remember me. He did play for 2 years there. True or false? He led the team in scoring his second season.
Yeah, I would assume true.
False. Malcolm Brogdon got him 18.8 to 18 points per game. All right, look, it's going to be that kind of a slate that I'm going to be doing this for every game. So here we are. If you want to see me do some real tap dancing, tune into NFL Live Before Lock for the Dallas Philadelphia breakdown tonight. I will be joined by T. McBee and Nick Lepre doing our usual fun. Hey, we all have to draw cards from the same player pool, so it's going to be, it's still going to be a challenge. It's going to be an unmitigated preseason-like disaster, but we're going to be playing it. What else are we going to do? It's bitterly cold here on the East Coast, and there's not much else going on in the middle of this global pandemic. Game 3. God, do we have to talk about this one? Orlando at Detroit. True or false? These teams have combined for only 13 wins.
I'm gonna go with true.
False. They have
God
14.
dang it, EMac. What are we doing?
They each have 7. I looked that up this morning too, because I wanted to see and I don't even remember which is which. One of them is won 2 of their last 4, but is on a 2-game losing streak. The other is on a 7-game losing streak. I'm really not excited by either team, but we can't X out our entire player pool just yet. Orlando is going to be without Jalen Suggs, Robin Lopez, and Eton Moore, among others that are injured but not yet coming back. Markelle Fultz is sort of getting he may be back in a couple weeks designation now, but nothing else to worry from those guys tonight. Frank Jackson is really the only one who's out for Detroit. I'm sure they'll find a reason to not play a few of their other players. And then we have actual questionable players, Franz Wagner and Cole Anthony, both dealing with ankle injuries here. Yeah, Mo Bamba. What do you want to do with either of these player pools? Because I don't even want to call them teams because they don't feel like teams.
Yeah, I mean, DFS is ugly, right? We're playing minutes right now. Shorter slate. So Cade Cunningham's the guy that sticks out the most for me on FanDuel. Another price gap here, 8,300 on DraftKings, understandable. There was that stretch for Diallo and Sadiq Bey were just breaking slates, and they still haven't fully recovered from their spike in price point. But on FanDuel, Cade Cunningham is under 7K. He's been back for 3 games, and in those 3 games, he's sustained a usage rate of, I got the number, it's over 30. It's about 30 collectively. He had 31% usage rate against the actually no, that's minutes. He sustains over a 30% usage rate on the season, and then coming back, he had a 27% usage rate against Memphis, 26 against Charlotte, 24 against Milwaukee, and we kind of seen them kind of try to get his reps out there. So I do like Cade Cunningham under 7K on FanDuel. The other thing on that last slate that he was on, he actually wasn't like a secret. He was coming at high ownership and taking a peek at our first draft at FanDuel ownership for tonight. He's sitting at the second highest owned spot, just under Bobby Portis at around 50%. So expect high ownership on him. I think you make a decision, yay or nay here. And I think it's a good spot and a good price point for the workload and the usage that we might expect from him. Sadiq Bey over Diallo has been kind of the way I lean if I had to split hairs and get to one of those two. Sadiq Bey still somebody I expect to play 30-plus minutes, chuck a bunch of shots, and most of those shots will be from behind the arc. And then overall, it's just a lot less minutes now today than we got, a week ago for this Pistons team. Even Isaiah Stewart coming back, taken away from the Cinderella DFS Luka Garza story, Trey Lyles, guys like that. So we didn't see a whole lot of price point recovery for the Pistons, but on FanDuel, Cade Cunningham does stand out. And then on the Magic side, one of the first bits of news that we got so far was Wendell Carter Jr. being questionable. So if he didn't play, it would open up Mo Bamba 6,100 on FanDuel, 5,500 on DraftKings. Definitely has some upside in and of himself, but you take out a guy like Wendell Carter who could represent 10-plus rebounds and replace him with like a Okeke or something like that. Bamba has a real shot at double-double potential here, and we know he's a big block guy, so that'll help you out on your FanDuel ventures as well. 28 minutes against Joel Embiid, 76ers, 38 fantasy points, 4 stocks in that spot, 19 real points. I definitely think Mo Bamba stands out from the crowd. And then if Cole Anthony can go, I think he's one of those very volatile players that has a ceiling that is easily forgettable, but he has a true ceiling that can break a slate, 50, 60 fantasy points. And in the last 2 games, we've seen him exceed 40-plus fantasy points. You do have to keep an eye on him for his ankle injury, but there are some playable names here, EMac, but it's one of those vomit games where you're not going to feel overly excited to load up on these guys, but there is, the range of outcomes for some ceiling games, even some floor games that we might need. You remember the Pistons a week or so ago, or four or 5 games ago, they put up like 80 something real points, but you needed 2 of them to do anything spectacular on that slate. So even these ugly games could give us some bit of utility for GPPs.
Yeah, the Hamidou Diallo game
And Sadiq Bey.
Yeah, and Sadiq Bey. So thank you for pointing out that Wendell Carter. He popped up after I had done my run sheet at the crack of dawn this morning. I was going to point out that don't get too worried about his game log where he played just 23 minutes in the last one. He fouled out guarding Joel Embiid. But if he's dinged up, then clearly Mo Bamba is someone to go to. Coming when he made his return, after missing the better part of 3 weeks, he played 18, 22, and then 28 minutes in his most recent game. I think we can see something in that 28 to 30 minute range. I don't know that this will be all the minutes he can handle sort of thing, because these two teams really aren't going anywhere, nor does either one really care about winning. But to not have Wendell Carter Jr. Vying for rebounds when he's on the court will be helpful. And of course, no Robin Lopez as well. So that is it's a small silver lining there. Small silver lining. Think about all the players that are out though, with Jalen Suggs and Kelly Olynyk and Michael Carter Williams and Markelle Fultz and Jonathan Isaac and Jeremy Grant and lather, rinse, repeat. There's just a laundry list of players that are dinged up for these squads. Anything else from this not quite utter debacle?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the news for either team, there are some huge 100K to first dart throws. You mentioned, did we say Frank Jackson was out?
Yes.
So I don't know point chase here, but Saban Lee gave you something that was
friends
that
don't
was
let
worth.
friends
I'm
play
just saying.
Lee.
I mean, he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's 100K to first when you got to beat 80,000 lineups. There's a couple of options to get different from lineups that probably have.
Are you gonna make me counter with Killian Hayes? Because I will. Don't make me do it.
Hey, Hayes won me 15K not too long ago, so I ain't ashamed to play him. I just think you got to just looking at ownership being coagulated on some of the best plays pre-flop. Bobby Portis, Cade Cunningham on FanDuel, Giannis Antetokounmpo. There's a lot of high ownership, and that's naturally going to happen on a small slate anyway. Maybe one or two dart throws get a little bit different at teens to single digit ownerships in match field tournaments. Obviously, we're not talking single or cash games or nothing like that. But if you're just trying to get the keys to the Lambo and stand out, there's merit in a couple of these guys. At least it's just pure ceiling.
All right, 2 games to go. We want to remind everybody that our sponsor is Yahoo for the daily strategy show, or the NBA strategy show here. They are constantly offering a plethora of outstanding deals. Currently, we are partnered with them to bring you this great offer. All you got to do is sign up through the link that is below us in the YouTube description here. When you sign up for the account via our link, you put in a deposit of at least $10 and then play in a paid contest. Yahoo is going to send us an email saying, hey, you got some people that came in on your link. We're going to get you a promo code for 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. Yahoo is going to give you $10 of site credit as well. And of course, this weekend, they have the $1 million baller with for NFL with $200,000 of overlay in the contest. What that means is there will be $800,000 worth of entries playing for $1 million in prizes. That is the overlay. So while you do have to monetize it, you do have to, finish ahead of most of the gamers to cash there. You're starting out with a prize pool that is 25% larger than it needed to be because they've added money into it. All righty, 2 games to go here, and then we've got 8 shows coming up after us, 6 videos on demand as well, or probably 9 videos on demand. They just added a couple. Right now, On the Contrary with Kyle Dvorak of NBC Sports Edge. Yes, Kyle, who used to be here at Awesemo before he big-timed us and went over there to NBC Sports Edge. He was on the Contrary with Laffy and Alex, breaking everything down. That's available here on the YouTube channel as well as the Awesemo Podcast Network. Check that out. It was a good listen. I thoroughly enjoyed it. They talked about some different ways to approach some of the games for Week 18. There are while 6 of the division winners are already secure, and the vast majority of the playoff picture is sorted out, there are still several teams playing to adjust their position and to get into the playoffs. So there's a lot of moving parts there. You want to be aware of that. And they may have thrown out a few things talking about some players getting close to incentives and whatnot. All right, game 4, New York at Boston. New York, 6.5-point underdogs here. I wrote down the Denver players who were out. I did not update that, so my apologies. So let me go over to my other page here and see who is out. So Kemba Walker is out with a sore knee, and you've got Peyton Pritchard is out for Boston. Who else? Evan Fournier, left thigh bruise, and then Nerlens Noel, potential conditioning. Speaking of conditioning, Evan Fournier was like on fire against in this same matchup just a couple days ago. What do we do here? Are the chalk donkeys or the game log watchers going to Evan Fournier? It's a short player pool. There's a point to look at Evan Fournier. Is that night tonight? Because he has had some, as Laffy likes to say, it's dog shit wrapped in cat shit type performances this season until that last game. What are we doing here with the Remember Me special, Evan Fournier?
Man, I really want to see his true ownership after lock. He 20% of his points on the season have come against the Celtics. So I don't know if that's fuel for the narrative.
This is like Daniel Murphy when he was with Washington Nationals going against the New York Mets. There was legitimate Remember Me in every swing of his bat.
Yeah, now you put him in front of that Boston crowd, sure. I mean, the shot volume should be there, right? And when they're a well-oiled machine, well, the reason they got Evan Fournier is for a little spacing and to chuck some shots. So you expect double-digit shots off the rip. His price went up a couple $100. His floor is almost non-existent, but yeah, it does show a little bit of potential. And in this matchup, he has succeeded every single time this season, netting you 56 fantasy points on DraftKings, 48.8, and then 62. He's got a little success. So kudos to him. I think I would be opposite whatever the F the ownership comes in at, and then go from there. We are seeing a little bit of steam on Alec Burks coming in at 30% this far out on DraftKings, which would be good for top 3, top 4 on the slate. So maybe some of that gets diluted into some Fournier, but you mentioned Kemba Walker down. Alec Burks has been starting as the de facto point guard. And we've also seen RJ Barrett have a little bit of stretch of hey, I'm here games. 30 plus minutes is the expectation for him, double-digit shot attempts. He died so Fournier could live, 4 for 15 in that last outing. I'm no coach, but if I'm a Celtics head coach, I'm not losing to Evan Fournier again. Celtics are in a little bit of disarray. They had a significant lead against the Knicks and blew it. They've blown a couple of big leads here. They've had quotes from players attacking each other, and then after that last game, there was a controversial quote from the coach. So you can start stirring the hey, are they imploding pot? But just straight up minutes and matchups, I think the Boston Celtics starters probably all get 30 plus minutes, and then Dennis Schroeder would be the next man up. So that would probably be the start and finish to my player pool on the Celtics here. And I probably drive a wedge between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. In that last game, Brown started hot, but Tatum's the one that really closed strong. And on this short of a slate, those two individually have 50 plus fantasy point potential. Maybe I allow a little bit of overlap, but I think my usual approach with these two at these prices on DraftKings, 9K and 10K, is I don't expect a lot of coexisting 50, 60 fantasy point games. So I probably set a rule to have one of, never really get to two in a strong batch. And then if I get to a game stack or something like that, I'll open the keys there. But that's kind of the bulk here. I don't want to get too much of this game because it is such a lower pace and lower total comparative to really every other game. And there's just so much not to like here as much as there's a couple of fun spots for narrative purposes. But yeah, for the most part, I think I'm just going to grab an opportunity at a Tatum Brown ceiling here. And then the Knicks are just, I don't want to get there. 9K on Randall, though, is intriguing. Does have 40, 50 fantasy point potential. But both front courts are really something I don't want to run after. I will say it's worth pointing out that Robert Williams, with everyone back, has had some success still. And in that last outing, he had one of your FanDuel legendary games, 7 blocks, 2 steals, on top of just 6 real points to still be a fantastic play. So if he's going to be a player that doesn't need real points to kind of give us an opportunity to get in the mix here, I do think maybe he'll come in at low enough ownership that 7,800, 71 might be enough to get different with a little bit of ceiling to tack on.
All right. You were calling out the Evan Fournier fantasy production, right? Not his actual minutes played.
I was talking about his last 3 games of DraftKings points against the Celtics, 56, 48, 62.
Yeah. He's averaging 42 and a half minutes in those 3 games.
It's nuts. I think there might have been like a double OT game.
I think there was, but there was in that, but still not all of. He's played 41 or more in all 3 of them. That's absolutely nuts. Mm-hmm. This is the 4th and final time he will be facing them this season, much to his chagrin and much to the pleasure of the Boston Celtics fans. But wow, what a just. We borrowed baseball a couple times today, but this is just like one of those hashtag baseball moments, right? It's like so-and-so, Ozzie Smith hasn't hit a left-handed home run and whatever, and then he does it in the world, and 9,000 at bats, and he does it in the World Series, or it's just like these crazy things happening. Evan Fournier is definitely crazy. You guys should Google his accomplishments. Wow, I highly recommend that. It's a bit of a rabbit hole, but I think you'll enjoy it. So Google Evan Fournier there. All right, final game of the night. And we're going to talk a little bit of Awesemo odds, and then we will get on out of here for the NHL strategy show, which is coming up next. Also coming up on the docket, 1 o'clock, the Awesemo betting show, 2 o'clock. I'm sorry. It is I'm looking at Thursday now. Sorry. I've got too many windows open there. So at 11 o'clock, it is the NHL strategy show. At 12:30, it is the NFL strategy show talking about tournaments, how to approach week 18. At 1:30 is the Prize Picks show for NFL. At 2:30 is the NFL deeper dive. At 3:30, NFL Live Before Lock, because we have a 2-game slate here. 5 o'clock, you get the NBA Deeper Dive. 6 o'clock, you get the NBA Live Before Lock with a special 30-minute show afterwards. And then at 7:30, we are going to get the NFL Saturday Night Showdown Live Before Lock. So we got all sorts of content here for you guys. Please do hit that thumbs up button. It helps us. And hey, give us a subscribe if you would like to. We're just over 70,000 subscribers, which is a lot of fun. All right, let me get back to the old run sheet here. Did I write down the correct team injuries for this? Why, yes, I did. Bam Adebayo out with a thumb injury. He's going to be out for another couple of weeks. You got Dwayne Dedmon out with the knee issue. Gabe Vincent, the only player I believe still in the health and safety protocols for Miami. Phoenix will be getting back DeAndre and JaVale McGee and Jay Crowder. They cleared the health and safety protocol prior to the last game, but they held them all out for conditioning here. You also have Jimmy Butler is questionable. He has an ankle injury at this point. I can't tell what the lean is. I suspect he's going to play, but it's an 8.5 line here for Phoenix. So it's hard to tell because Phoenix is just that good. If that's accounting for Butler or not, because of course, no Bam, no Dedmon, etc. They've got some other issues there. What would you like to do here with the Miami side? Do you think Butler is going to play tonight?
Usually I expect out until they're in. So I really don't have a strong lean here. I hope we do get some news on this because his status would sway a whole lot here. Obviously, Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, guys like that become exponentially greater or worse plays depending on his status. And then, Butler's a guy that has true triple-double upside in and of himself in a pace-up spot against the Phoenix Suns. So I don't have a lean in or out, and seems like, Saturday on the road, we're probably not going to get a lot of top-notch beat writing reports. So hopefully they Spoelstra and the company can help us out here. But right now, I'm just projecting him in. I think that's until they rule him out. I got him in. I put him for 31 minutes, and with Lowry, with Hero, that's enough for me to not feel overzealous and over infatuated with getting to Heat in a big chunk of equity. But should he come off the table, I think Lowry is an opportunity to maybe not get ejected for gently rolling a basketball to a referee today. Tyler Hero hopefully doesn't try and throw hands with the opposing center at the end of the game, and we should have a chance for some pace up basketball. And Omer Yurtseven might get lost in the sauce. I think he's probably the guy I would be willing to get to almost no matter what the Butler news ends up being. He's kind of proven that 30 plus minutes in the absence of Bam Adebayo, even with PJ Tucker back, could be his to have. So at 6,600, there is a chance for 40 plus fantasy points. It's not at all one of my favorite spots. DeAndre Ayton coming back, the Suns defense does beef up, but the Suns do play such a high pace that oftentimes we can compensate for how not great the matchup is. Suns, I think, had a top 3 pace in basketball last time I looked. So more paces, more possessions, more peripherals, more rebounds. And I would expect Yurtseven, should he start, play a decent chunk of minutes and give you an opportunity at rebounds. If he don't do anything else, EMac, he rebounds 16 plus rebounds in 3 straight games and double digits as far as the eye can see. So enough to at least put him in a player pool. And if he starts getting some buckets, that's just an added bonus. And if Butler's in, if nothing else, that spaces out the floor a little bit more. So Lowry, Butler, guys like that who have decent assist rates can feed him a little bit more. So Yurtseven, I think, is independent of all the news. But I don't mind him even if Butler is in. On the Sun side, with Ayton on the court, we can end some Jalen Smith experiments at this price point. Javal McGee, I think, might be back in the mix as well. And I think they picked up Bismack Biyombo for the rest of the year. So
yeah, they did do that. So their front court goes from being empty to loaded real quick here. Plus you got Jay Crowder technically, who could always float down to center if Yurtseven is not on the court as well. So
yeah, so
Jay Crowder, remember me game.
PJ Tucker, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, 2 guys that kind of stand out as some ceiling opportunities that might get some discounted ownership for the way the slate's playing out. Looking at Chris Paul coming off a triple double. This far out, we got him at less than 20% owned, and then Devin Booker falling around 13% owned. So if you're a fan of late night hammers, you want the hammer, go on, get the hammer. Chris Paul gives you that trip dub potential. And Devin Booker with Ayton and Chris Paul on the court leads the trio in usage. So just something that often gets forgotten about. And Booker, I like getting him after a couple of down games because just depletes his ownership even more. Did just drop 30 against the Clippers, but prior to that, we saw a little bit of upside. So I don't mind getting to some Devin Booker here. I do think 9K is pretty appropriate for the high end expectations, but just to diversify on a smaller slate to get you some guys, driving your lineups up further late in the evening. I think those are some ceilings to go after. Also, Jay Crowder being back might finally get me to walk backwards on Cameron Johnson.
Yeah, I was just going to say Cam Johnson quietly losing out on minutes here.
Yeah, and oh man, Cam's been like my dirty little secret, man. I've been loading up on Cameron Johnson exposure the last couple of slates, and it's more often than not I'm getting 30. So if he loses a couple minutes here, I think the price point doesn't give me a whole lot of warm and fuzzies. Might still get the back end of the player pool, but probably not.
All right, let's go on over here to Odd Shopper real quick. We'll have producer Mike do a little screen share with us. We're going to have some fun looking at the parlay builder here. We've got, if we go over to Odd Shopper, that's ODDS and then Shopper, 2 S's, 2 P's as well. And I guess technically 2 O's if we really want to get all, but they're not adjacent to each other. But if you guys check that out, you can click on the 5 prop parlay that is in the upper left there. It's this one is saying, hey, you go take a peek at the Caesar Sportsbook, but it just kind of shows you it's putting together a few reasonable parlays here that are all right around pick'ems with Mason Plumlee over on assists, Kate Cunningham under, Julius Randle under on his points, Jason Tatum under on his points, Mikal Bridges over on his. But you put those 5 together, and all of a sudden you can get a $10 payout turning into a $328 payout. So again, these are long shots. They're not impossible. This has an approximate, where is it? About 11%, 12% win rate here. But if you play, even if you were to just throw $1 down on this, that's the upside of 32. So you would need to play this type of a thing. You could play it, win once, and you get 32 more shots at this. So if you're winning, 1 out of every, in that 32 shots, you win it 3 times, all of a sudden your ROI really starts going up. You want to think of these kind of like GPPs. What you don't want to do is get cute with these, because it doesn't matter. There is fancy play syndrome here on props, but you don't want to make a stand. So over here at Odds Shopper, we have all of the Awesemo projections feed into the different props, and it shows you if you should go with the over or the under, and it tells you not only the expected win rate, which is helpful if you're playing on some of the Prize Picks or some of the other sites that have the ask the questions or the player props, and you don't have to worry about the bigger issue there. You want to know what the win percentage is, but the ROI also explains to you, hey, something that has a really good win percentage but a garbage ROI. It's like, hey, will Dak Prescott throw for more than 1 passing yard today? Minus 50,000. It's like, well, okay, well, you're probably going to win that one, but there is no ROI on it. So you need to understand all of that, but it's all helpful. And you can see up in the upper right corner, you can click on the YouTube link there. That will take you to the Awesemo Odd Shopper YouTube channel, or the Awesemo Odds YouTube channel. And within that, we have all sorts of instructional videos with Laffy and Ben Raza talking about arbitrage betting and all of these different terms, hedging and not just parlays, but I always forget the term. Round robin is one, or what's the one where you teasers? Yeah, teasers for the life of me. Yeah. I get the concept, but I can never quite figure out what I want to do. But there's a lot of videos explaining how to do this. So it's a lot of fun. More and more states are coming on with sports wagering. Obviously today, New York came on with their mobile device. Sports wagering is now allowed. You don't have to go to some random stone, or what do we call it, brick and mortar casino out on the Indian reservation to make your bet. You get to go do it from the comfort of your couch when you're looking at your mobile device. So go to the Awesemo _COM on Twitter. If you're in New York, you can tweet. If all the rules, tweet your first New York sports wager to that with the screen capture, and we're drawing 5 winners to get Awesemo premium packages. So a lot of ways to give stuff away today. So check that out. If you want the sure thing, you can always use promo code. What is our promo code? NBA Strategy Show, all one word. That gets you 25% off your first week of Awesemo Platinum. Now, you know what you guys didn't do? It didn't sign up for that 22 days of Awesemo premium content for $20. That expired last night. Shame. For shame. It's very sad. You guys should feel very sad. But we just gave you a bunch of ways to get on in here. Gundacker, what are your thoughts here on sounds like basketball, on life? Have we shamed the people enough? Did I put a damper on the show?
Our father figure EMac. He's not mad. He's not mad.
I'm just disappointed. I hated when my parents used to say, "Oh, no, son, I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed." Mom, no, be mad at me.
Yeah, like it was better. I don't know. Yeah, I know. Like I said earlier, we are getting to the final week of NFL. So having a slate like tonight, where we can really not worry about a lot after the first 30 minutes and kind of chill out, wait for the last game. More likely like Jimmy Butler news might be some flip that last game on his head type stuff. But I, for one, appreciate slates like this that feel a little bit more like turbos than not, after grinding big slates like last night where we got to chase down news. And
every half hour there was more news last night.
Yeah, so I welcome these mid-sized slates for sure.
All right, well, we're going to get on out of here, turning over the airwaves of Awesemo to the 8 shows coming after us. Up next is the NHL strategy show, so we'll have some fun with that. 4 NFL shows, and of course NBA Live before lock in the NBA deeper dive. We've got you covered with everything here at Awesemo. Follow Gundacker on Twitter at Gundacker. I am at EMac DFS, and it is Awesemo_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.